Your call has been forwarded to the automated upload system of
The American Drill Report.
At the tone, please record your message.
Have you seen in the past couple days the post about Call Forward?
Yes, I did.
All right, so it's a short form pseudo podcast type thing where we take a given prompt and a given question, and then we just yap about it for 5 to 15 minutes from somebody in the community that would have a good perspective on said thing. So, uh, prompt is hardware and tooling. I want to first just start off by asking about these training bayonets that you've been working on. Tell me a little bit about those and kind of what your plans are for them.
So the training blades were initially thought of years ago when I got my first CXD10 from Marvin Ramos, and I got one of the later produced CXDs, and I was thinking about drawing out the outline, buying the steel for it, buying the bayonet lugs, and like making it. However, I was in college. I had no technical experience at all. And that just seemed like a really big challenge that seemed unreachable at some point. Then I started working in a wood and metalworking shop, and I started getting my wits about me. And I realized, okay, these training blades, they're not easy to make, but at the same time, they should be pretty feasible to make. And I started thinking of like, okay, why? Why do we need training blades? Well, obviously, Constantine's not here anymore. New Guard America is in a limited state to reproduce the CXT10. Other blades that I've seen made, like the Biasotti blades, were kind of, all over the place in terms of quality. And so I thought, okay, well, there's a need. There's a need. The CXDs are not getting any more plentiful. The training blades are not getting any more plentiful. And especially as we see kids like Ethan Rader come up, Ethan Rader is probably a great example of somebody who is doing these crazy things that have never been done before with blades. And like, if anybody needs a training blade that they should feel safe with, that should last them, hundreds of drops, thousands of drops, it should be people like him. And then I thought, okay, well, how many am I going to make? And I thought, who am I going to send them out to? What's the price for them? All of these different variables. And then I finally just got to the point where I was like, okay, there are a few people in this community who have done things for the community, who have done things for me in my journey, and who have given me things that money cannot buy, that time cannot, pay for. And I thought, okay, I'm going to give these people something back, something that I can do. The other thing too is I've worked very closely with NGA in the past, and I have some of Constantine's files of the CXD, and I thought I'm in the perfect position to remake not the CXD, but something very similar. So I ordered the steel, scoured the internet for the tangs, the handguards that go on the barrel. That was difficult. And then I constructed my list of people that I wanted. There were originally only 10, then that list expanded to 20. And I think it's at like 26 or 27 right now of people who are getting the blades. So ordered all the parts, and I try to do a blade a day as far as like working on it, because it needs to be grinded out. It needs to be filed to a certain degree. Wire wheel, obviously, to polish it and things. And it just started as kind of a passion project of like, nobody knew really at first that I was doing this. I made my first one a few months ago. I debuted it at Worlds. And like, that was really where it got going, where people started to know what I was doing. And then I notified people. I started a group chat with all the people. I updated them. Hey, what do you want? If I'm going to make a blade for you, for what you've done for me, I'm going to make it as customizable as possible. I'm going to make it, exactly what you want. It's going to be every person has a different blade. And I love that. It's a perfect blend of, I can mass produce these while also keeping every single one of them custom to what each people want them. So, uh, even you're on the list of getting a blade. You want an A1 lug, uh, a flush handguard, um, and you're getting number two. You're getting number two. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, they all, this is a big project, so everything kind of runs together, and I have notes for everything. But yeah, like it all came together to where, okay, I can give something back to the community, and it can all be custom. Everything can be custom. And you know, after these first 27 or so get out into the community and people see that they are what they're worth, um, I've thought about selling them afterwards, making like a standard version and selling them, but I think that would honestly betray the heart of what I'm trying to do here as far as giving back to the community in their own way. Um, I don't think this is feasible to like take on all the cost alone for, 100, 200 blades or however many I end up making. But for right now, this first 27, like I can handle that. And for the rest of it, we'll figure something out to where people aren't buying them directly or trading them. Like some people now are donating me lugs. It's not money, it's not something, but it's like, okay, you're contributing a piece of your blade that's going to be your blade. And so it's just special to me. It really is just a special thing to me. And then even the name Archangel, uh, everything's very symbolic to me. And one of the people on the list, I always had a nickname for Archangel. And so when was thinking of the name for these blades, and I thought of everything. I even thought of like the swords of Superman because that was like a comic book thing. And I thought of a lot of corny things, but I finally settled on just the Arc 10. And that really stuck in my mind. And a few people like it, a few people don't, but at the end of the day, it's mine. And I'm interested to see where this project's going to go for now, but honestly, these first 27, I want to see people push them to their limits, and I want to see, what they're going to do in the future with them. So that's really the goal.
I didn't know that you were calling them Archangel blades, but as a big fan of the show Supernatural, that's super cool to me because Archangel blades are like canonically one of the most
The most
powerful
powerful.
weapons in the entire show. It's like that, and then this like uh, it doesn't matter. It's just nerd shit, but I
Well,
think that's
no,
cool.
it
I think it's a really cool
it
name.
was it was from Supernatural. So
Oh, sick!
the person who I have this name for, we watch Supernatural. Like we're both really big Supernatural fans, and so like I dubbed them an Archangel. And like it worked out perfectly because like I'm a huge Supernatural fan, and it was an Archangel blade. So you are actually
That
like
is,
spot on with that.
that is so sick. Well, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to getting mine in hand and playing with it. Um, outside of blades, what other? I guess this is maybe a two-part question, but what other uh, hardware tinkering are you doing for your own funsies, and what other hardware tinkering are you looking into um, as uh, a change or development in what we use or what we could use as a standard?
So for the first question, my own personal Funzy project, um, there was an experimental rifle made back in the 40s where it was an M1 Garand receiver, basically in a 1903 stock with like a 1903 bayonet lug, a 1903 swivel, a 1903, like everything. So it took the best of both worlds. The receiver, the action of an M1, with the weight, it was actually even a little lighter than the 1903. Um, and like there's no thick M1 bump or anything like that. And so I took an M1 receiver and I cut it to crap. Like I cut it down, it's butchered at this point. And I'm getting screw plates welded to it a for a trigger plate. Um, and I'm actually having its own custom stock because the M1 receiver is a little wider. Um, so I actually have to I took a stock blank, basically just a block of walnut. And in my woodworking shop on lunch some days, I carve it out a stock. Um, that project's taking longer than I wish, but I think once it's done, or if it ever gets done, let's hope so, I think it will be like one of the coolest rifles that will have ever been seen. And I'll probably compete with it just for, you know, whatever sake. But that's something that's being developed right now. Uh, and then for the wider community, I think that you have to look at what the community wants and what the community needs. Right now, the community doesn't need a lot as far as like receivers or stocks or anything like that. NGA is still running just fine. The amount of receivers that are being put out is honestly awesome. The Helixes have been a huge success. Even Drill America has been improving their quality of receivers and making it more customizable. Daisy's still a time-honored classic. We've seen a rise in the amount of D mills that are accessible and available. And we see people actively getting them more, even on the high school side. So I really thought to myself, well, what is something that nobody has? And then obviously the answer is the New Guard America barrel and receiver. I have two of them, one of which was yours. But I started to think, okay, well, what makes them so sought after? What makes them so different? And what it is it's a D-mill receiver with a replica barrel. All it is it's the look of a D-mill, the durability of a D-mill, as far as the screw pockets, all of that, with the weight, the feeling, the sound of a daisy. And like that unique combination creates something that you can't really replicate anywhere else. So then I tried to replicate it because that's cool. So I'm doing some experiments with just adding a skinnier barrel to a D mill. I've used M1 barrels. They're a little bit skinnier, but at the same time, the threading isn't right. So what I did is I ordered a barrel off Sarco. D mill barrels cost $12. So I ordered a barrel off Sarco. I cut it down to the thread. I just got some pipe at Home Depot, some rebar, and I just welded it to it. And it sounded absolutely amazing. Felt like an NGA barrel. Felt outstanding. One of the best regular D-mill rifles that I've ever spun. Sadly, the barrel did not hold up durability wise, but I have some future plans as far as drilling into the barrel, um, and either making it a pin system like the Daisy has, or having its own barrel with its own threads fabricated, so it's not technically two pieces welded together, it's just one fluid piece. Um, that's something that I'm hoping in the next year that I'll make, big leaps and bounds on. The blades are just taking up a lot of time, but once this initial batch clears, the steps forward for other projects are limitless. And obviously, the basis for all this is NGA. NGA had the gold standard of, the best rifles, the best equipment. And Constantine was a wizard with what he can do with his expertise in wood and metalworking. And so right now, I think my goal is and it's not to be Constantine or be like Constantine, but it's to pick up where he left off, um, and hopefully one day even try to improve. Because he always said we're living the dream. It's your job to keep the dream, and and that's a quote that I've really latched onto in the fact that nobody picked up the training blades, nobody picked up the NGA barrel. The stocks are still going, and that's great, but we're only at the tip of the iceberg with what we can do with this equipment and improve it. Um, Even your blades, the cut off hand guards, we could do that to a CXD. And that's like sacrilege. And I know that that's sacrilege, but that's why I'm doing it on some of my blades. So we can have training blades like Constantine's, but we can also maybe improve them with added safety features, with added customization, with added initials. And I think that's really where I want my niche to be in this community is not a second Constantine. I want to be Damien Roth and I want to have my own spin to it. But the community needs new minds to step into where Constantine was doing or step into where he was going and what he was doing. And right now, I'm not seeing a lot of people in my peer group or my generation of drillers going. And so somebody has to step up, and I needed to do that. And that's what I wanted to do. So,
That is so real. I've I always thought it was funny with the NGA barrel receivers that Constantine was such a D-mill purist, and not a lot of people realize this, but they're like a quarter inch shorter than they should be, maybe like an eighth of an inch shorter than they should be. So you can technically put a blade on them, but like they don't seat a blade like they really should. It like barely sits over the top of the barrel. Um, but I always thought that was
yeah.
funny. Regardless, they do still feel amazing, and
Well,
I
what's
do like the idea of carrying forward with the enthusiasm of like creating new things, developing new things, but sometimes with what bladed D-mill purist Constantine was, I feel like he's rolling in his grave at some of the things that I do sometimes. The Helix 2 is a traditionalist's nightmare. But like they're so fun.
it is, and I'm a D-mill traditionalist. The only replica rifle that I have right now is like two helixes, and they are fun, and that's like why I own them. But yeah, it's like I don't own a Daisy or a Glendale or anything anymore. It's all D-mills, NGAs, and helixes, and so like it is about moving forward, but it's also about like maybe we should move a different path to where Constantine was too. And that's why you're getting the second blade, because you are also a massive inspiration to me as far as like the equipment journey goes, is like you stepped off into your own path and you took a risk. And you are spearheading, this new direction of drill, and that's awesome. And we need more of that. Drill will always be a military sport. It will always be this purist dream, but that doesn't mean that we can't have other avenues to explore drill and other avenues to express the art that is drill.
Look, you are
And
so right, and I would love to talk at length about rifle flow, but now we're teetering into a new topic. So, on the topic of hardware and tooling, do you have any final thoughts?
um not really. I mean, I think everything is going in a good direction. Um and I think that, because I know I'm not the only person working on new stuff and new projects, and so I'm really enthusiastic for the high school kids who didn't have what we or who have way more than what we had when we first came up. And that's who I'm really excited for is, Timmy from whatever school or whatever JRTC who has the option, oh, I'm gonna get a Helix or I'm gonna get, something else, something different than just a Drill America or a Daisy. Uh, I think that's one of the main reasons we should do all this is for that high schooler or the younger Damien Roth or the younger Neriah Garen. And that's the whole point.
Big facts. The future is bright and the future is forward. Shameless plug. All right. Good talking to you. I'm sure that you'll be on another episode for other related topics. But thanks for chatting and Godspeed.
Absolutely, Neriah. You be safe out there.
Yep. See ya.
See ya.
Thank you for listening. Stay dialed in. You could be the next call.